Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Ksenia. I'm an artist, gardener, and book lover. Welcome to another Poetry Monday episode. I hope you're having a lovely Monday, and today I have a very sweet, funny, whimsical book of poems for you by Wendy Cope. It's a selection of her poems from 1979 to 2006. She's a contemporary author who lives in Britain. And her poems are so funny, so whimsical, so accessible, so playful, and just, I don't know how to describe them. They must be experienced, honestly, but I'm sure that at least some of these poems will make you laugh. I'm going to be reading 3 poems, starting with a poem on poetry. There's a quote at the beginning of the poem. At the moment, if you're seen reading poetry in a train, the carriage empties instantly, said Andrew Motion in a Guardian interview. Indeed, 'tis true, I travel here and there on British Rail a lot. I've often said that if you haven't got the first-class fare, you should really need a book of verse instead. Then, should you find that all the seats are taken, brandish your Edward Thomas, Yeats or Pound. Your fellow passengers, severely shaken, will almost all be loath to stick around. Recent research in railway sociology shows it's best to read the stuff aloud. A few choice bits from Motion's new anthology, and you'll be lonelier than any cloud. This stratagem's a godsend to recluses and demonstrates that poetry has its uses. Yeah, try reading poetry aloud. Everybody will think you're crazy, I guarantee it. When I took a poetry class before, our teacher dared us to read Walt Whitman in a public place aloud. And the students described all kinds of funny reactions. So try it. Try reading a poetry piece aloud in a public place. See the reactions, you get the looks. So this poem I relate to very, very strongly. I have often been called boring. And this poem describes quite well that boring is an outside label that doesn't really concern the people who are described as such most of the time. So the title of the poem is Being Boring. May you live in interesting times is a Chinese proverb, Chinese curse, quoted at the beginning. If you ask me what's new, I have nothing to say, except that the garden is growing. I had a slight cold, but it's better today. I'm content with the way things are going. Yes, he's the same as he usually is, still eating and sleeping and snoring. I get on with my work. He gets on with his. I know this is all very boring. There was drama enough in my turbulent past, tears and passion. I've used up a tankful. No news is good news, and long may it last. If nothing much happens, I'm thankful. A happier cabbage you never did see. My vegetable spirits are soaring. If you're after excitement, steer well clear of me. I want to go on being boring. I don't go to parties. Well, what are they for if you don't need to find a new lover? You drink and you listen and drink a bit more, and you take the next day to recover. Someone to stay home with was all my desire, and now that I found a safe mooring, I've just one ambition in life. I aspire to go on and on being boring. I relate so strongly. Right now especially. I wish my life was more boring and there were less problems and difficulties and unpleasant circumstances that make my mind go in this very unboring but very unhealthy tailspin. So the last poem I read is called, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Rondeau Redouble. There's so many kinds of awful men. One can't avoid them all. She often said she'll never make the same mistake again. She always made a new mistake instead. The chinless type who made her feel ill-bred. The practiced charmer less than charming when he talked about the wife and kids and fled. There are so many kinds of awful men. The half-crazed hippie deeply into Zen, whose cryptic homilies she came to dread. The fervent youth who worshipped Tony Benn. One can't avoid them all, she often said. The aging banker, rich and overfed, who held forth on the dollar and the yen. Though there were many more mistakes ahead, she'll never make the same mistake again. The budding poet scribbling in his den, odes not to her but to his pussy, Fred. The drunk who fell asleep at 9 or 10, she always made a new mistake instead. And so the gambler was at least unwed, and didn't preach or sneer or wield a pen, or hoard his wealth or take the Scotch to bed. She lived and learned and lived and learned. But there are so many kinds. Yeah, she's so amusing, so accessible, so funny, so whimsical. Highly recommend. I will be reading her again. Probably try to find a Libby book though. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope it made you laugh. Have a lovely Monday. Until next time, bye.